Welcome back to the Mancave podcast, everybody. We in the building with my boy Jay Cerrone, professional writer, ghostwriter, all things above.
Yeah.
And yeah. You don't know what a ghostwriter is outside of rap. So
Isn't it like, I thought it was like scary stories and shit like that.
That was probably the corniest.
I got a chuckle. It's all right. As long
But
as I
that's
get
'cause
one. If I get one, I'm
Because
chilling.
it was a dad joke, right? And my son here, so I gave him a laugh.
Oh, okay. I got it. Trash. Anyway, Jay, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you from, what it is that you do, and we're gonna get into your whole shtick tonight.
Jay Cerrone, I was born here, Philly, Pennsylvania Hospital to be exact. Came up here, Chicago, New York, all over, and I write books, have a publishing company, Paper Chase Publications, have several books out. I write books, publish books, help other people write books, mentor people on that, help them start their own publishing companies. Mm-hmm. Do a couple other things, but that's the long and short of it. Yeah. Appreciate y'all having me on the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're my guy. We've been locked in for like almost 10 years now,
Yeah.
Doing a lot of shit. I used to do a lot of shit myself, so.
Still do.
Yeah, bro, I got like 7 jobs. Like,
You always thinking of new shit to do as well.
You got to keep moving. But in that sense, like, what got you into writing? Like, was that what you grew up doing? Like, what'd you go to school for? I know you kind of was like.
Well, I always been had that creative, entrepreneurial spirit. My father's like that. My father used to have father was a DJ. Mm-hmm. I mean, he had regular jobs too, but he used to have a recording studio down Germantown and Johnson when I was a kid in the 80s.
That's what's up.
He used to. So I grew up in the studio for the most part up until like he closed that down like in the early 90s. But so I grew up around that creativity and all of that. So I was always on that type time. And then like, as far as doing things for money, as far as using creativity and make T-shirts and sell those and do all type of creative stuff to get money when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So as far as, writing, just things you would do in grade school for projects. And it was just, I think it was something that I always was just like, had a knack for, I guess you could say.
Oh, so you was a dude, if I had a project due, I could send you my book report.
No, I wasn't no nerd.
I wasn't no nerd.
Never that. I was never doing nobody else's work.
Right.
No,
that's funny.
Never that. No. It was just. No, I'm just saying. Like, if I had to do my own work,
yeah,
I was going, and it had something to do with creativity or writing something. I would do pretty well at it.
Gotcha.
In the younger grades. Then when it came time to, teenage years, then I might have certain things that I wasn't as good at, but writing, it always came easily to me.
Did somebody ever pull you to the side like, yo, I think you got like a gift as far as writing is concerned. I think you should pursue this. Or you just kind of was like, oh, this is something I like. I'm just going to keep doing it.
No, what I will say is this. I had a situation when I was a teenager, when I was like 14, 15, and with a young lady.
That always starts with a girl.
Right. Yeah. And my father told me, he was like, look, sometimes you can't, it's more difficult to talk to people without them interrupting you, and you need to get it off. So why don't you just write her a letter? So I wrote her like a letter because it was a deep situation. I shot the club up or whatever. And she was trying to put something on me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I wrote her a letter, and that's when I realized, I get my words out better in writing than I do verbally. So yeah, that's basically what happened with that. That's when I realized that it's easier for me to express myself on the paper.
You missed a whole opportunity, bro. Because you know how many dudes I know growing up ain't have no romantic creativity, nothing about them. You could have been like the high school Hallmark, basically. Charging
writing people's cards.
Like, bro, you like this girl? Listen, man, she part of the drama club.
That was the breakup letter, actually, for real.
Oh, damn. Oh, man, cold.
No,
you know,
it was.
like, and if you really good at putting words together, put it on a piece of paper, break up, and they gonna not even feel sad. They probably gonna be like, he has a point.
Yeah.
It was a complicated. I was just trying to give the concise version, but it was a complicated situation for real. That was a complicated situation. You know what I'm saying?
The
Like,
fucking bug that keeps fucking with me.
Kill it.
I'm
ready to slap yourself in
losing
the eye.
this fight, bro.
You want to get interviewed?
Dead ass. So after you figured that out, you said you had an entrepreneurial spirit growing up. He's like, okay, I can write, I can do this. How did you channel that? Like, when was your first book, like, legit project? Did you work on something when you were younger, or did it not come until you?
Yeah. So what I did was, I was, I was wilding when I was a teenager, right?
Like all of us.
Around that same time, I got the boot. You know what I mean? Because I think my father was trying to. Part of that situation was trying to steer me back onto, being able to continue the situation with them, all of that. That didn't quite work out. So then, but a couple years later, I had chilled back out and graduated high school and all of that. So then I was like, I had a wild teenage years and all of that. So let me put this in writing. So I wrote my first book when I was like 19, right? And that's when I wanted to start my publishing company. But I kind of like experienced some hate and discouragement, let me say. I experienced some discouragement from some people close to me.
Shocker.
Always gonna happen.
Shocker.
Right. Some people that were close to me, I think they didn't want me to put out some of the stuff because they were like, people close to us are gonna know, even though you changed the names, that this is about us. You see what I'm saying? Or this is about you, and this is about us, or your, people around us.
So you had like a best man situation.
Right, yup. Exactly.
That's a black movie, George. I saw that. It's all good. Well, I'm wide open. Wow. That's what you're doing? Yeah. I'm glad Jay don't got the headphones on.
Somebody's going to hear it.
I'm nut. So you
sound bites?
Yeah.
Now with the
he's a fucking hater. So you was about to air the family shit out, and they was
I was airing my personal stuff out. Okay. You know what I mean? But, I grew up from a specific age, like in a kind of strict religion.
Yeah.
So, they didn't want certain things. It was embarrassing to, people don't sometimes, when people like close a chapter on a previous version of their life, they want to act like other stuff never happened, right? So basically, that was just kind of like my personal therapy to put that, to just like, just get it out there.
Kind of like journaling, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I thought that, like, certain people might be able to learn from my mistakes instead of their own.
And the idea that you can connect with somebody that thinks that their situation is one of a kind, right?
Exactly.
And then they'll read your story and be like, oh, this is how he handled it.
Like,
good thing it's not just me. I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through hard times, you feel that isolation.
Right.
So to read something that somebody else went through, it helps them out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's real.
Exactly. So then I wound up never doing anything with it. I was just, living, I just put it in a tuck. You know what I mean? Just was working corporate and all of that. Wind up going through the motions, got married, had a child, you know what I mean? Like all of that. And then things started developing. And then, I wound up like backsliding a few years later, like because of financial pressures and all that other stuff. And then wound up getting into legal stuff in now my late 20s.
Right.
You know what I mean? Stuff that I never thought I would deal with because I had went through that already and didn't even get pickled with the law as a teen.
Right.
See what I'm saying? It was crazy. So then in my late 20s, my whole outlook and my whole circumstance was different because now I have more responsibilities than I had when I was younger, and now things are different. So now I'm like, you know what? Now I'm gonna do this. Now I have more responsibilities, and now that's when I started my my publishing company and put out wrote a different book, put out that book. Then I put out
What book was that?
so the first book I actually put out that was A Legal Life, a North Philly story,
Okay.
and then a couple years later I put out the book that I actually wrote when I was 19, which was The Prodigal Son.
Wow. So you wrote The Prodigal Son when you was 19.
I did.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I didn't put it out till 2018, I think.
Yeah.
2017, 2018, which is
Tell the people what your publishing company's called, because I'm kind of curious where you got the name from.
Paper Chase Publications.
Yes, sir. How'd you come up with that? It's just kind of like off the
It's
cuff.
kind of like a double entendre type thing.
Okay.
You know? So like books to paper chase, you know. And the crazy part now, my outlook is a little bit different. I've never really admitted this publicly. I'm not going to hold you. I never admitted this publicly. Now, I started a company over 10 years ago. So I do believe, or excuse me,
You're making me nervous.
Law
just
of
so
attraction
you know.
resonates with me more now than it did back then.
Okay.
So I likely would not have named it Paper Chase if I thought differently back then. See now, because there's people, even lawyers and stuff like that, who talk to me and they're like, Paper Chase, you know, that's a movie about legal stuff. And yeah, have you ever seen it? And da-da-da-da-da. And it's that because it's a big movie from the 80s called The Paper Chase about lawyers and attorneys. And
I never heard of it.
Yeah, but, you know, to keep it real, like I likely would not have named it Paper Chase. But it's tatted on me. Now, I never even thought of another name because I named it Paper Chase. It is what it is. It's tatted on me.
Right.
It's for life.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, that's why I named it that, because it's like books are written on paper, money is paper, and I'm chasing the paper.
Through the paper.
You know, when I was a young boy, I was, in the streets chasing the paper.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But you know, it happened I did it for a reason. I don't regret it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it is more of a thing where it's like, I don't want to be, because I've never really been a materialistic person. You need money. Like, and I'm not religious, but even the Bible says money is for protection.
Right.
You know, we all need money. We live in a capitalistic society. You feel however you feel about it.
See his face? I'm just thinking about all his Instagram posts as he's saying this, and I'm looking at his face. Bro. It's funny as shit.
My man, he has some comments in his head that he's like,
Fucking America.
Yeah, right. You know, it is what it is. We gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah, that's funny as shit. So I want to talk a little bit about, before we go too far into like the whole like nooks and crannies of the publishing game. Like so many people I know, like are artists, rappers, whatever, and they always talking about like writer's block. And
I was actually gonna bring that up. That's
well,
crazy.
then go ahead, ask the question.
No, fucking you started it.
Okay. George be hating on me, bro.
I actually don't fuck
Like y'all
with
be
this
hating
guy.
on Batman, but it's all good. Go ahead.
Talk to me about like your process. Like when you about to work on a project, whether it's for yourself or somebody else, do you gotta like light candles, take a shit for like an hour and a half? Like how you prepping yourself on game day?
For the actual process of writing, okay.
I already know you gotta roll up, so that's step one.
I don't
All
know
right.
what you're talking about.
We talking paper.
Right. Yeah. Roll up a couple books to read.
Right, exactly.
There you go.
Yes, like I do have a process. A lot of times, writing early in the morning or late at night is more productive for me before the phone, because I'm not, especially since me and his mom ain't been together. I don't turn my phone off.
Okay.
Or on airplane mode. I just don't do
Right.
it. Since
Or
my
do not disturb.
Yes,
right?
I don't do that. Since my son doesn't live in the house with me all the time anymore, I never turn my phone off. So me not getting disturbed while I'm writing is easier for me to do so early. Like I'm talking like before 6 in the morning. The earlier the better. Like there's times I get up at 3:30, but I actually have a schedule in my phone to write before 6. I don't always do it. You know what I mean?
Is this a scheduling thing? Like you schedule this time out?
I do. I don't always stick to it, but when I do, when I'm most consistent and most productive, I stick to it.
Okay.
And then later at night. But yeah, as far as you sit in my office, sit at my desk, and often I listen to music while I'm doing it, especially music that's based on the mood of what I'm writing. If I'm doing a story, like I'm working on the sequel to Suicide Tuesday right now, and it's based in 2015. And I incorporate music, like I'll shout out certain music in my books. You know what I mean? So I'll listen to music from a time frame.
Yeah.
While I'm writing that, you know what I mean?
Because it puts you in like that mindset.
Yeah. And even if I'm not quoting or shouting out certain music, I just listen to music of that mood. Or if I'm listening to, if I'm writing a book that's of a certain period, I'll listen to music from that period if I'm writing a book that's in a certain period, I'll listen to music from that period. Yeah. So like if I'm writing a book that's if I'm writing for instance, Prodigal Son, it was a book that took place during the 80s and 90s. So depending on what particular time frame I was writing about, I would listen to 80s music, I would listen to 90s music, you know what I mean? Because it gets me in that mood, like they say, mood music. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Even if I'm going off of memory or this, that, and the third, and now sometimes I just need silence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of times it just helps. And I might smoke cigars or, whatever.
How often would you say, I mean, I guess this is a tough thing to answer because it's so circumstantial, but is writer's block something that you struggle with regularly, or is it just you don't really?
It really isn't. I really.
Oh, he's special.
No.
He's like, I actually don't know what the term means.
No, see.
Because it's such a spoken about thing, right? Especially when obviously writers,
across
right?
the board.
Yeah, it's like you hear it all the time. It's just like people, they start something, and then they stop. And sometimes I hear about people, they can't pick it up for months because it's just they don't know how to move forward from that. You know what I mean?
I find that when I don't have as much of an issue with getting blocked as I have with when I do struggle, it's with starting.
Okay.
So or getting distracted because of other things that are going on or my other business, you know what I mean? And that's why I said, or my phone going off or my other phone going off, you know what I mean? Yeah. And getting distracted. When I get in the groove, because what I do is I outline my entire book before I even start writing it. So what I do, and this is what I've encouraged other people to do, whether it be my son or my clients or whatever, is like, for instance, I get an idea. I've been doing this since long before I even started my company. I'll get an idea. I'll text it to myself. This is before smartphones, before we had memo pads in the phone. I would text it to myself if I was out, right? Then when I would get home, I would write it down, like the synopsis of what my idea was, right? Okay, boom, story about such and such. I have like I have dozens of ideas of books that I could write and plan on writing at some point. And so then when I get a chance, I'll sit down and flesh out the entire synopsis. Then when I'm ready, I'll flesh out chapter by chapter a couple sentences of what I want in each chapter. And then when I'm ready to flesh that out more, I'll do chapter by chapter, several sentences for what's going to be in each chapter as an outline. It's not like a school outline, it's an outline for me. Then I flesh out paragraph of each chapter, what's going to be in each chapter of that story.
So you basically building a map for yourself.
Exactly. So then when I go back, it's going to bring back to memory everything that's going to be in that book, chapter by chapter. And I can literally make it so it's like a whole page worth of. It's like a breakdown of a paragraph, probably a couple paragraphs for each chapter of the entire book. So and I was just telling my shorty the other day, there's really no excuse once I'm finished that for each book that I don't just finish the whole book.
Yeah. You've done so
Like,
much
that's
prep
my
work
fault
for
if
it.
I'm not done.
Yeah.
Like, by the time I finish that, I just got to sit down and do the whole thing.
On average, if you had to put a number on it, like a time, with the prep including, how much time do you think it would take you to write a book on
It should
average?
really only take me 90 days.
90 days.
It really should.
Seriously?
It really should.
It take people like their whole lives to write
Yeah.
books.
Yeah. They'd be like, I've been working on this for 6 years.
I mean, honestly, like, for instance, the first Suicide Tuesday, but I put that on 2018, I think, like 18 or 19. So I came up with that idea when my aunt died in 2015. She died in 2014. I came up with the idea. I lived in Upper Darby when that was around the time we met. I'm sitting in my truck in Upper Darby. I come up with the idea. I'm in my phone doing research on Molly for some reason.
for work.
Well,
Work purpose.
there's a reason why I'm doing research. I'm like, something got to be wrong with this thing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing research on it. My aunt had died of cancer, 51. Was devastated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was going through some personal relationship issues. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. And I'm like, yeah, something got to be wrong with this drug. You know what I mean? So, and that's why in the introduction, I'm like, be careful what you put in your body. Just because it feel good don't mean it's good for you, right? It took me like 4 years to I did the outline, or after I did this research, I was up for like hours and hours and hours. And I'm up for hours and hours. I'm doing the research. I'm smoking. I'm doing research. I'm like, So then I do the outline probably like a month later, right? It took me like 4 years to sit down and actually write it. I wrote it in a few months. But it took me years to actually sit down and write this. I had a lot of stuff going on, like separation, divorce, custody, all this.
Yeah.
It took me years, but when I sat down and wrote it, I wrote it.
Right.
Now, it's the same thing with the sequel. You know what I'm saying? But the crazy part is, it's like but everything happens it's like sometimes it's timing. I think I made a video about this a few years ago. It's like a baby, right? Like, if you don't conceive a child that exact moment, it won't be the same child.
100%.
I was just telling George that the other day. He didn't know that.
I didn't know how babies were born. This fucking guy over there. That's fucking guy.
No, but real rap, like, you could conceive a child with the same person 5 minutes later. Like, if you shot the club up 5 minutes later, it would be a totally different child.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Totally different child. Might be a great child. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a different child.
Yeah.
So it's like you can press yourself and be, I should have been finished this book. I should have been finished this album. I should have been finished this painting. You know what I mean? Maybe you should have, but it's going to be different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's real.
Don't press yourself. You should press, especially if you make bread off this. Like, this is what you do for a living. You should hold yourself accountable. Put yourself on a schedule. Write when you write. You know what I mean? Inspiration comes when it comes. You need to have parameters. You need to hold yourself accountable. But at the same time, it's like, it is your baby, though.
It takes time.
Yeah, it takes time. And if you need to take care of certain other responsibilities and your mental health and this, that, and the third, and your physical health and your actual physical children, if you have them, you know what I mean? Or your relationship or whatever you have going on, do that as long as you're able to pay your bills and all that other stuff. Like, do what you need to do, because when it comes out, people love Suicide Tuesday from the feedback I've received. So hopefully they'll love Suicide Tuesday too when it drops.
Yeah, to that point, I don't think I've bought other people his books, and I've never met anybody who didn't like it. I had somebody who's like, I tried to read the whole damn thing on the plane. So it's like, shout out to you, kudos to you and your abilities.
It's what I want to shout out is the outlining. Like, right, you put it on paper, the plan, right, and then speaking on the amount of time that it takes. Because
Stop dickying.
This guy's such a fuck.
Philly. It's the Philly shit.
All right, well, thank you for coming to the Mancave podcast. But I never used to do that shit, like right until this podcast. And the one that taught me how to do it was this dickhead across from me right here, because he knew how to put his thoughts on paper, right? And then create a plan, a goal, a time frame, and then how to execute those steps to get to that, right? I never knew that. Not that I didn't know how to do it. I just never fucking did it, right? Because in my head, I'm like, I have an idea. I'm just going to fucking start, right? But that's not the way of doing shit. And I feel like with the day and age that we live in, right? Because there's so much opportunity. The internet is infinite. Everybody says, I'm just going to fucking start. And that's not the way of doing shit. If you're going to fucking start, you have to have a plan.
Right. What they say, fail to plan to fail.
Yeah.
Right there.
Because realistically, to your point, like if you don't have that skeleton and you start, you don't know where you're going.
Right.
Like you can do the outline, you can just start, and then you get in the middle. I'm like, damn, like what happens next? Like, what do I write next, or what part of the body do I paint or draw now? And you have no idea because you didn't plan it out, and now you got to put it down. You come back to it. Maybe you don't. Like you done lost your whole rhythm.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes it easy to pick back up if you do get sidetracked because life happens.
Yeah. Real rap.
And it's crazy because like now, like obviously once you start something, right, people close to you also wants to start stuff. That's just how it works.
What you throwing shade?
But, I mean, you have experienced it. How many
course I
times
have.
people hit you up, yo, I want to start a podcast too.
Everybody I know is a realtor right now. So like,
and every time I'm like, all right. And then now I start spewing that, give yourself a goal, give yourself a time frame, and then write down how you plan on executing it. That's the only thing that I can tell you. And if you don't even want to do that, you probably ain't that serious about even doing it in the first place. So,
and you know, remember we were talking about like the fear of failure. I think that plays a part in it because George and I were basically saying like, and he was talking about doing like stand up and going into like the comedy scene. And he was like, yo, I don't even like want to sign up for these classes or whatever that I had sent him. He was like, because and then on the episode we talked about, and he was like, people like to be able to play around with the idea of doing something, you know, because then it's like, oh, it's always a possibility. Yeah. But then as soon as you start taking steps towards it, it's like, fuck. Like, am I going to be good enough? Can I even do it? Do I even know how to do it? And it's just all this bullshit that goes into it. So not to be in your personal business and so as far as finances and all that shit is concerned.
how much money you got? No, I'm just kidding.
I would never ask nobody that. I mean, unless he going to give me some.
Oh, baby.
But nah, like I imagine that the writing world is not like a lucrative kind of business, like early on at least, until you know you're like the Jordan Peele and all that. You know, you got a name to yourself. Like, what did you do? I guess as far as like income is concerned, or if you can even talk, like how did you keep yourself afloat?
I rob niggas.
Yo, because it's like so many people want to like, you know, they want to go into the world of, you know, creative arts and all of that type of shit. Like, you know, they want to pursue their dreams like you did and turn it into something. But a lot of that shit don't be profitable in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? It's like a deterrent.
I mean, the biggest thing it's not the biggest, but a part of it is like you have to go into it for the passion. Like you can't be going into it for a financial.
Is it? Is that why you did it, for the passion? Or because you saw you can make a lot of money doing this shit, writing books?
I rob niggas.
We ain't gonna never get him back now. New Jay has entered the chat.
It's a different man.
Yeah, right.
No, but for real, like, so.
Chaps, there you go. We got
look.
everybody lean in.
Frank White then entered the building, ladies and gentlemen.
No, but for real, like, like I said, I wasn't. I was almost 30 when I started this, right?
Yeah.
He was little. He was a toddler. I came out of a situation where I had a legal situation, but I worked corporate for a long time. You see what I'm saying? I'm on live. Fortunately, ain't too many people watching. But you're right. You said you laughed. See, I said this on live. I forgot. But no, like I had a situation. I had gone through legal stuff, corporate stuff. I had to go through something with the corporate because of the legal situation that was going on when the corporate was going on. So basically, I had to recoup.
I almost spit this.
I had to recoup some corporate stuff,
Right.
Based on what had happened legally. It was just a big thing. It was a big thing, but I used resources to start my business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To hold down my familial responsibilities and to start my business so that I was able to support myself, my family, and do what I needed to do. But yeah, it doesn't.
Strategic planning.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't just it doesn't just come out. You don't just come out the gate making bread. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like off of that, you got to grind though. Like
Because you have to create that worth.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Ain't nobody gonna trust that.
Your
His
hustle
book is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your hustle matches your income matches your hustle. So basically, what I will say is this: back then and now, the face-to-face vending has outpaced the online sales.
Seriously?
Yes.
For real?
I would have never.
That's surprising as hell.
I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, now that's I'm not saying that's everybody's experience.
Why do you think that is for your experience?
I think because of the generation I come from and my personality and now this ain't just my personal experience though, but as far as people in my circle,
Okay.
and people that I've mentored, I had the kiosk.
That's Larry's vibrator, by the way.
That's my vibrator, or is it your rose?
I'm
that
gonna
you
leave
got?
that in there.
Y'all
because
have pocket.
George got a rose that he
Pause.
keep on him at all times. And his wife got the button at home, so
Pause.
See, Larry,
light him
you
up.
act like he making shit up, but this is his story.
It's not.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
literally telling everybody your business.
You projecting.
Fuck out of here.
No, but so basically, like, I was a young boy and doing things like, this is not even just like illegal stuff. Like I was saying, like when I was a kid, I can draw a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I used to go to the store, get, started off like I said, I would get T-shirts, right? Get the fabric paint and the fabric markers and the fabric, all that stuff, and draw stuff, designs, pictures. My pop had to tell me I couldn't do copyright infringement because I would draw Bugs Bunny and all that stuff and
Your
sell
pop
it.
was telling you that in like the 80s. My man was worried about copyright ahead of his time.
He
That's
was
smart though.
Because he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, if you get popping off of this, you're going to get sued.
Yeah.
Our pop
Dapper
Ben
Dan.
told me this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, if you get popping off of this, you're going to get sued. So he was like, make your own characters.
That's smart.
I'm like, but if nobody gonna want to buy my own, he's like, you got to make them want to buy your own. Yeah. So then he was like, or you could just, I'm good at drawing like animals, like realistic looking animals. He's like, draw. So I would go to my mom would take me to the craft store, so I get paper or canvas or whatever and mat and frames, and I would draw realistic and go door to door and sell those, right?
Yeah.
So like I've been doing face-to-face sales since I was in single digits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
You was knocking on doors like Jehovah's Witnesses.
I
trying
was
to say
actually
shit.
raised a Jehovah's Witness since I was like 10.
Oh,
Me
y'all
too.
shared that.
Word?
in common.
Yeah. So
Horrible.
that's why we used to go down to Suburban Station at 3:00 in the morning and preach to the homeless people before they kicked them out. Real rap. Yeah. So I that's what I'm saying. Face-to-face sales is nothing to me.
Yeah.
Getting told no is nothing to me. Getting cussed out is nothing to me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why face-to-face sales is nothing to me.
Because they've been telling you going to hell since 2. So. So he's like, I don't care. I'm going to hell anyway. Just because I'm breathing wrong.
144,000 or something like that.
This conversation we got to go somewhere
Everybody else.
totally different. Let me get some Patron real quick. But yeah, so I'm just saying. But yeah, so I think the tenacity that comes from that, you know what I'm saying? Because we wasn't always that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But once we did become that, and then like, okay, combine, if I can do that for that, and that, for real, Let's Keep It a Bean. That's a publishing company.
Yeah.
Watch Your Bible Tract Society is a publishing company.
Yeah, 100%.
But when we first became Jehovah's Witnesses, in 1990, we were still asking people 50 cents for watchtowers and 35 cents for wakes.
Wow.
At the door.
Are you supposed to do that?
Back then, yeah.
Okay.
That was the method for the first couple of years after my family became.
Why are they giving me that shit for free then?
No, they changed it after a couple of years later.
Right.
But yeah, it was the suggested donation.
Okay.
So like, let's keep it real. That was a publishing company. So, and I told my people they didn't really like it, but I was like, I'm doing what I was raised to do. Y'all can, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I was raised in a publishing company.
Right. That's funny as shit.
You know what I'm saying? And the Bible is mad violent, so you can say you don't like my books, but
Facts.
you know what I'm saying? I'm teaching lessons, you know what I mean? There's just mad murder in the Old Testament.
Real rat.
There's rape, murder, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, you can, what they say on YouTube, grape now?
Yeah.
Grape.
Yeah.
Great.
It's like we can't say nothing on this podcast anyway. So
like,
I mean, we shadow banned from day one. We chill.
But I saw, like the first 2 minutes, you got to chill with what you say.
Yeah.
We talked about
I
that.
saw,
Yeah,
and I'm like, y'all didn't know that?
Nah.
Y'all don't watch enough YouTube. You just be making the YouTube videos. Y'all gotta watch them.
You know, listen, I gotta do everything. Now I'm fucking editing
Shut
this
the
video.
fuck up. Like, let's keep going before this guy starts fucking making me mad.
Shut the hell up. Nah, I wanted to talk to you about the ghostwriting portion because we didn't touch on that at all.
Okay.
How'd you get into that? Was it like people saw how good your books were and then they were just like, oh,
So was that
That's
like
really a
for
good
other people's
transition
books?
from the last question that you just asked, actually.
is it?
Yeah, because it's a two-part. It came partially from, okay, after I had a couple books out, I believe, people started asking. I didn't really wasn't trying to do it, but because of some things that was going on in my life at the time, as far as,
Yeah.
Needing some more bread to handle some things that was going on, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I could use a couple more dollars.
Right. So you just started prostituting yourself, basically.
Pretty much prostituting the pen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yo, that's a fire t-shirt for you. Prostituting the pen. Yeah.
I watched this. I used to watch this show. It's not on anymore. Called Peaky Blinders. You ever seen it?
Yeah, of course.
It's that work.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, "We're all prostitutes. We prostitute ourselves in different ways."
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the more books you have out, the more credibility you have, especially if anybody vouches for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That you can do this.
Yeah.
And so that's a way. It's like, I view it like this, right? Like selling books for, when I first started selling my books, they were like, Illegal Life was $15. I would sell it for $10 on the street. I viewed it as selling dimes, right?
Oh, it's $15. You sell it for $10 on the street. Is this because you were trying to? Well, I guess did it like balance out because they were charging you for okay?
No,
okay.
it was just it's Philly. That's a North Philly story. That's my Philly price.
Gotcha.
That's the local discount. I was selling them brought 100. I mean, I used to sell them at 52nd and Market,
Right.
brought in Snyder. You know what I'm saying? But when I released, when I was really dug in down Broad 100 Park, and that became my spot. I'm selling them for a dime.
Okay.
People have $10 instead
valid.
of having to pull out 10 and a 5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's valid.
I viewed it as, okay, I'm selling dimes out here, and then if I'm charging for ghostwriting, that's selling weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's selling weight. So it helped as far as the bread. You know what I mean? But that's really what got me into the ghostwriting, the fact, because I didn't really want to do it. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I wanted to write for myself. But I reluctantly just finally started doing it.
For people who are kind of like you and want to do the ghostwriting thing, do you charge like per page or like what's the pay structure like? Because like say you write a book.
No, you're supposed to charge per word.
Oh, shit. God damn.
Just like you're supposed to charge in editing per word. That's the industry standard.
Because I'm about to say, like, if you write a book about my life, right, it's gonna blow up. Obviously, yeah, it's Larry. Fuck. Look, so That's not funny.
That's
to
fucking
you?
snoring.
You're a fucking hater. Jesus. But yeah, you write a book about my life. It blows up. And now you done already charged your price up front. Wouldn't it make more sense to get like money paid off off the back end? Like,
It depends how the contract is.
okay. But for you, you're saying industry standard is per word.
Industry standard for, okay, so how it goes in writing and publishing is, so how I do it is this. I have two the contract is, I charge you to write it, right? And then if you want me to publish it, that's a whole separate contract.
Okay.
And then, that's a whole separate contract. But if I just charge you to ghostwrite, so ghostwriting is, what ghostwriting really is I write it, you pay me to write it, and you do whatever you want with it, and my name is not on it. That's the ghost part of it.
Right.
So there might be something that you read that the person who put it out, name is on it, and you have no idea that Jay wrote it. That's
Right.
the ghost part of it.
Right.
So
You know what I'm saying?
when it comes to ghostwriting and exactly how you explained it, you're writing for somebody else, right? Now, are you writing it in your voice, or do you have to adapt to the way that they want to?
I have to adapt, but I can't help but write in my voice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to do my best to write. It depends on the project. So what I do is, like, for instance, if, say, you want me to write something for you, we're gonna have consultations, like,
Because you have to get an idea of how I speak, right? Like my train of thought.
right. So it depends what the story is. So if it's your life story, that's gonna be different. If it's just an idea
fictional,
you have,
yeah.
right? We're gonna sit down, whether it's in person, over Zoom, over the phone. I'm gonna take my phone, record you. You're just gonna talk to me. I'm gonna ask you questions. And later on, I'm going to sit down, make an outline like I was talking about. I'm going to send it to you, get your approval. You're going to tell me what you want me to change. And then after a few sessions of that, until I get everything I need and you give me all your approval, edits, notes, whatever, I don't even need to talk to you after that. I'm just going to write everything and then send it back to you. And you're going to keep telling me what you need me to change, what you don't want me to change until it's over. And then once that's done, once it's done, take it and you do what you want with it. I'm done.
Gotcha.
Was it easy for you getting like your work published? Because like I know so many people who talk about.
But see, I'm not traditionally published. I have my own publishing company.
That's right. You did say that. Oh shit. Damn.
So you don't have to take it to nobody to put it up there.
I pay editors.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, so being traditionally published by major publishing houses, that's a whole different situation, because traditional publishing houses, these big major publishing houses, they're like, especially for the genre that I'm in, or even other genres, especially and I hate to do this, but they're not really friendly towards us.
What? Us, like
Black
men?
Black people.
Oh.
Black men.
And honestly, you said men. Even if you're black, if you're a black woman and you're going to some feminist agenda or some,
They're probably blowing your shit up.
if you're on some feminist agenda, if you're on some, alphabet agenda, you're going to be more likely to get a deal than a cisgender male patriarch. You see what I'm saying? Like, they ain't giving you no check unless you're famous.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Unless you're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as a somebody who has their own publishing company, do you have a bunch of people coming to you like, yo, I got a book, and then you got to go through it and
I
then
wouldn't
make the
say
decision?
a bunch, but it happens on a pretty consistent basis. This is why I started probably 5 years ago, started my Do for Self mentoring program to help people start their own publishing company, because I prefer not to publish other people's stuff because I didn't get into it for that. You know what I mean? So instead of keep telling people, no, I'm not publishing, no, I'm not accepting submissions, no. I'm like, okay, I like to help people. I like it to be mutually beneficial, especially people that look like me. So, boom, I help you start your own. And I've helped, a handful of people start their own publishing companies, put out their own books. Got a couple of people that put out their own books, started their own publishing company. couple people with children. Well, yeah, a couple people with children's books. One sister with like health things. A couple people with other, novels and stuff like that.
So, what do you think that's the best route for like entry, like not entry level, but like just
ownership is the move.
Yeah, publish your own book.
I think ownership is the move. I think it's the same thing with music. You got to grind it out. But at the end of the day, if you're consistent, I'd rather own all of something than. I mean, it depends on what your end goal is, because if you're like, I would rather own 1% of
something
$10
than 100%
billion
of nothing,
and 100% of $100,000 or $1 million, then that's your thing. That's your twist. It's like the Dame Dash conversation with DJ Envy years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't get fired from Paper Chase. I can't.
Shit.
I can't.
Yeah.
You can get fired from, or you can get dropped from your label. You can get shelved from your label. I can't. I can't. I won't shelf myself. Why would I do that? Now, I might put my stuff on hold if I got something else going on, like if I'm doing some real estate stuff or some loan brokering stuff, so that I can put into what I'm doing at a bigger scale later because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So do you collect your money up front for your ghostwriting?
For the most part, I might put somebody. I might allow somebody on a payment plan.
Okay. You ever got burnt doing that?
It's been years.
He's learned.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I got inside scoops.
Yeah,
so.
That's why he asked me that.
I'm putting him on the spot.
He asked me that because he know there's people in this city. There's people in this city that are people that people respect.
Yeah.
Wow.
That have been in this city for decades making major moves that do concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
That have burnt me. You knew what you was doing, dog.
And I'm so glad he ain't asked for the notes and talking points and shit. I'm like, all right, we'll put this in there.
We cool. We know each other, but he knew what he was doing. There's people in this city and they tried to bring the street boy out of me. They tried to get hands and feet put on them.
Say hands and feet, curb stomping for the book
after the chapstick.
They wanted to get me booked.
Yo, that's funny as shit. Like, for all y'all listening, then that's a clear direction for you. Like, get your money as much as you can up front before you start putting. Because at that point, they already got the work. Like,
they ain't just no work for me.
Oh shit!
Like the one that I think the one we talked about years ago.
Refresh.
Hit my line. Whatever happened with such and such? New Line Cinema talking this, then. Okay, well I ain't get no check yet.
Right. Fuck, I look.
What
like
you mean?
Yeah.
I said I'm 2/3 of the way done with this joint.
Right.
It's still on my flash drive.
Right.
To this day.
Right.
You'll never see that joint,
Larry
dog.
know what he doing.
You will never see that joint, and neither will New Line Cinema, my
Larry,
dude.
type that shit. I be getting the reaction.
I'm a professional gaslighter.
Yeah, like New Line Cinema will never see that joint, neither will you.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying?
They could have the next Friday or some shit and don't even know it.
Nobody will ever see that joint.
You could just take it. Shit, it's yours at this point.
And that's the funny part. Like, there's a couple people, and that's the thing. Like, and it's funny because I hear these stories about people that have blown up that was blackballed in the industry. Like, even not like a 50. I ain't even gonna speak on 50 because there's people that have been blackballed in the industry or whatever. Like whatever, and they blown up or whatever. Like whatever, and. I just know that based on my personal experiences now, that some of this stuff is obviously true.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff is obviously true. People be super shiesty.
Real shit.
Super shiesty. Now, I see some of these people, for instance, in our city, are not where they could be. They might have more clout than I do.
Say rats.
Because they crabs.
Yeah.
They crabs. what I'm saying? I should have put blood in your mouth the last time I seen you.
You only gonna get so far pulling all
Right.
the motherfuckers down.
Right.
Yeah.
You a crab nigga.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I might, but I can look myself in the mirror.
Right.
And at least I'm not, you know what I mean? And I got self-control. You know what I'm saying? And I know the type of dude I am. I know the type of father I am.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know the type of business I do. Like the boy LaRussell, that you know who the boy is?
I don't know who that is.
That independent rap boy. I just posted him a story. He said they always say it's business never personal, but it's personal because I can't do business that way because of my personality.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I just don't agree with how certain people move.
That's real shit. And I just have to say, I love the way you talk. Like, you're so animated. You use your hands. You bang it on the table every 30 seconds. George is going to have to edit the shit out.
I'm not editing shit. That's all staying in here. Motherfuckers going to be driving in their car. Boom, 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 boom.
I made it a point not to point it out to nobody at this point because I'm like...
After the first bang, I knew he was like, yes.
I did.
No,
I'm glad. Shit. I'm glad. Yeah. Motherfuckers don't think they hitting potholes the whole time. Yo, dead ass. Yo, did you ever think about like writing a story about your life? You got some kind of like
kind of. And it's one of the thing about me is like I'm such a fan of movies that if
You
I were
are,
to do
actually.
something, it would be in a movie format.
I do scripts too.
Yeah.
Just by the way. By the way.
I have a couple
shameless
ideas.
plug.
Yeah,
man.
but I have a couple ideas that I've thrown in my head about shit like that for sure. Yeah.
Like, but what? How you lost your virginity?
Yeah, to you.
What?
Pause.
All right, now we getting into the real
Signing out.
scoop of the man cave.
Signing out. I didn't know it was that type of man
Let's,
This ain't
cave.
that
let's
type
tell
of
them why
man
it's called the
cave.
man cave.
This ain't
Larry.
that type of man cave. This ain't that type of man cave. This ain't that type of man
Did your
cave.
fiance know you rock like
This
that?
ain't that type of
Oh,
man
she know.
cave, bro.
Sheesh.
This ain't that type of man cave. You're a whore. That's why
You
that's
made
why
me this way.
Wow. You're just gonna go crazy at the end of the fucking episode, huh?
I was real like compressed the whole
On
time.
that note,
Yeah, he was wound up
and
real
you
bad.
married? Sheesh.
Yeah, that's why I can say this shit. No one's gonna believe it.
Yeah, bro's a psycho.
You remember Governor McGreevy
Governor McGreevy. What's
in
that?
Jersey? That was like 10 years ago. Yeah, the boy that got caught.
Yeah.
That got caught
Yeah.
getting duped.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy. There's actually a lot of politicians would be doing that wild ass shit. Like,
How you think they got to the levels they at?
what's his name?
Yeah, for sure.
Matt Gaetz was on trial for like sex trafficking. Ain't that his name, Matt Gaetz?
I don't know.
The little weirdo
These
looking.
pictures from that Michael Rubin or White Boy, you look kind of suspect too.
Oh, listen, I don't know about that. I wasn't invited like
I
Stephen
wanted
A.
to.
Smith. So
Huh?
I wasn't invited like Stephen A. Smith. So hey, you know what I'm saying? Whatever they do is what is on them. But listen, if we could have a party, George.
I'm sorry. I ain't want. In case this get. See, I don't want to be involved in them circles. I ain't trying to get y'all podcast blackballed in them circles. Y'all can edit that out if y'all want to, because I know a lot of them peoples that. Yeah, I mean, my fault.
Listen, it's all good. We just here for a good time, like certain kinds of good times,
Right,
not
right.
like the type of shit that George be into.
I don't know what
nah.
you're talking about.
But nah, listen.
I'm just saying what you told me to say earlier today.
Is that
You
right?
texted me, said, "Yo, around this point in the podcast, say this, this, and that."
What was
I'm
that?
saying it.
What
I
was,
just
what
said
was
it.
it that
I just said it.
George? Everybody,
And
who-
since you pay
if
me, I gotta
anybody
say what you tell me.
If
You know what I
anybody
mean?
has ever watched
You trying to
any,
to you, bro?
oh my god, crazy! Like the wildest shit. It's probably more. I don't even want to do this. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna stop myself right there. I'm not even going. I don't gotta defend myself. If you're gonna be on some wild pause shit,
I don't know what you're talking about.
that's on you, bro.
I really don't know what you're talking about.
Listen, you got a wife and family.
Because
at home.
everything that I said will be cut out, and then we're just gonna jump to this, and
He's
people,
the
people
editor.
are
That's
gonna
why
be
he did that
confused.
shit.
People are like, why is Larry saying this? It's kind of a weird jump.
Yeah, you're a fucking piece of shit. Like, you're a piece of shit. I don't even appreciate our friendship. If we had one. Yo, you got any events coming up? Anything what's the next big thing you're working on?
Suicide Tuesday.
Suicide Tuesday. Yeah, too.
Sequel, yeah. And then finally going to finish up I've been off and on with this joint, but I'm finally going to finish up the Jewels for Your Crown book, which is a book that I had started years ago for him,
Okay.
My son. Well, it's for him, inspired for him, but it'll be for like any younger boy.
Is it like the Black Lion King type?
No, it's not a Black Lion King. It's more of like a. It was inspired by like when I was going through like the whole custody thing, and like honestly, it was more inspired by thinking I might not live to see him again. So I wanted to basically give him all types of jewels and wisdom for like growing up as a young boy.
That's dope.
So the reason why I didn't finish it yet because it was always a bunch of stuff coming up, and it's like I had to pivot, and this, that, and the third, and stuff would come up and hit in my life, and then when I got him back, like his life, and I need to teach him that, and teach him like basically all types of. It was like I would just write down stuff like, oh, he needs to know this, he needs to know that, he needs to know this, he needs to know this is going on in the world, he needs to know this, he needs to know. You see what I'm saying? So
well, if you take that mindset, that book ain't gonna never be fucking finished because you getting ready to go into another presidential election. Who the fuck know coming out of this joint?
Yeah,
like,
but the thing is, like,
slavery's back along. So.
Right, but he about to be 15 now, so it's like he going into high school, so it's like
that's a whole different
kind of like I kind of like I think I know the best way that I can go with it now. It's the type of joint that I want him to be able to read in him and like any other young boys. To be able to read and reread and get something different out of it as they get older.
For sure.
Where can the people find you if they want to read a book or if they want to hire you for ghostwriting, publishing, whatever?
They can find me at Paper Chase Publications on IG.
Yeah.
Paper Chase Publications on Facebook. PaperChasePublications.com on the World Wide Web. I got free previews of the books that I have available. E-books, paperback books, got a hardcover book for one of the titles. Holla at me. My toll-free number is 888-399-0365.
Sheesh.
Hella ways to contact this guy.
Right.
I've been in business over a decade. Holla at me.
I know, you threw out a Facebook.
Nowhere. You funny as shit.
Yo, but thanks for coming to the Mancave podcast.
I appreciate
my
you.
guy.
George,
it's been real.
Appreciate it.
You already knew I was
After
gonna tell you
the
to fuck
fucking
off.
fifth time I'm gonna shake this guy's hand, I'm never doing it again.
Piece of shit.
Appreciate y'all for having me.
Peace. Fuck you.